Welcome back. Our guest is Moy Ioane, and our topic is kids who self-harm, kids who cut. Moy, who's doing this stuff? I mean, how old are these kids? Is it a range of ages? Do they come from different backgrounds? You know, who's getting into this kind of thing?
Well, from what we have found out, the most common age group is your mid-teens. But they're also saying that they're starting at a very young age, but the common focus group at the moment is your 14, 15, 16, but then you've got the overflow of both ages. But it's your mid-teens, it's when they're going through very intense changes and transitions in their lives. So this is the core.
Is it boys and girls as well?
Tony, it's not gender specific. However, it is commonly found in females, but the thing is, guys are actually engaging in this as well. So
we've got people, you know, kids who are cutting themselves, burning themselves, branding themselves. You know, they're scratching, their hair pulling. There's all sorts of stuff here. It's all about
physical pain. It's all about physical harm. That's what it is. And cutting is the most common, but there are other forms that they're inflicting on their bodies that will give them that sense of feeling, if you like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what can happen? You know, if kids start out doing this stuff, you know, where do they end up? You know, what's the result? You know, what's the significance in terms of the serious nature of it and the outcomes and all of that kind of stuff?
Tony, it ends up damaging them in such a way that it is so, I guess, excruciatingly painful for not just for the individual, but for those that love them. Can I just go back a little bit?
Please.
You have to understand that the people who actually engage in this or actually are physically harming themselves don't go into it to have it as a long-term practice.
Okay.
However, you know, they go into it, all they want to do is just for that moment when they are not in control of their emotion, if you like, or they cannot feel anything, they're so numb, they go into it at that moment just to get rid of that one little pain. But just as an example, you know, they could go into it going, I'm just going to, just one line, just on my wrist, just a little slit. But yet by the end of that time, it could actually take them, you know, 5 minutes to half an hour when they just constantly are, hacking is not the right word, but just, you know, going at it to the point where their whole arm could be covered, and not just, you know, one line after another. They go at it across, and, you know, it is so intense.
So it builds.
It builds. And here's the thing, that from that one time, it gets to a point where it becomes an addiction.
Okay.
And this is the thing that we want to actually get across. It is that serious that it not only scars them physically, but, you know, it's this...
They're developing a dependency on this behaviour.
Yeah, so much so. And so what can happen to them? They become... They numb that feeling, but yet they form another habit that is so behind the scenes. It's such a background that they're very meticulous about this thing. Very, very meticulous.
So at least in the initial stages, we're not talking about kids who are setting out to end their lives. This is not about suicide.
No, that's not what they're about. They're not wanting to die, if I can say that out loud. They're actually wanting just to get rid of this intense internal pain.
It sounds like they're wanting to feel alive.
They really do. And that physical pain is what connects them to reality. It's what actually gives them a sense of, hey, I'm actually alive. I can feel something, you know? So, but then the other extreme is that they make this such a habit that for some who get out of control, they do end up in hospital and nothing, you know, it's out of control, that they do end up dying. And
accidentally, perhaps.
Yeah, because that's not what they intended to do. It's a totally different form from suicide, and I guess that's why I'm really passionate about this part in particular, because if they're not careful, that's what will happen.
Moy, this is terrifying. I mean, what should we be looking for? How do we know if somebody's getting into this stuff?
Obvious ones are the infrequent injuries, such as cuts and burns that they cannot explain. the way that they are not able to control their anger. The obvious ones that you want to look for is the long sleeves of tops and pants during very warm weather, and they're constantly wearing that. The constant relationship problems that they have, low self-esteem, those are the kind of symptoms that you want to really look for.
Moy, we're going to have to hold it there just for a minute. After the break, where we go to get help for this really, really tough topic.